Outdoor adventures can offer incredible thrills, but sometimes they end in tragedy. In this video, we'll share 5 more of the worst deaths in the history of outdoor adventures. Real stories of people who set out for excitement, but face the ultimate danger. It was the summer of 1993 in the remote mountains of Siberia. Lyudmila Korovina, a skilled mountaineering guide, was leading a group of 6 young hikers aged 15 to 24 on what should have been a simple trek in the Khamar Daban range near Lake Baikal. Months of preparation had left them confident and ready for the challenge. But what began as an exciting adventure quickly turned into a tragedy that still puzzled investigators. On August 2nd, the group set off in good spirits. They made excellent progress, reaching the summit ahead of schedule and preparing to descend after 2 days of hiking. However, the weather abruptly shifted on August 4th. Heavy rain made the paths slippery, and their gear became soaked. Still, the group managed to set up camp, though they struggled to start a fire and shared their remaining food before resting for the night. The next morning brought worsening conditions and exhaustion. Despite the challenges, the group planned to meet Lyudmila's daughter, Natalia, and her team later that day at a predetermined location. But when Natalia arrived, Lyudmila's group was nowhere to be found. Initially, Natalia assumed her mother's team had been delayed. However, days passed with no word, and concern deepened. On August 10th, kayakers traveling along a river at the base of the mountain spotted a young girl standing on the bank. Blood stained her clothes, and she appeared disoriented and terrified. The girl was Valentina Utachenko, a 17-year-old member of Lyudmila's group, and the sole survivor of the expedition. Her account of the event stunned authorities and left more questions than answers. Valentina explained that the group had begun their descent on August 5th after a quick breakfast. Soon, however, one member, Satya, collapsed in agony. His symptoms were alarming. He screamed, his eyes appeared injured, and foam emerged from his mouth. Within moments, he passed away, his body convulsing violently. The group, shocked and panicked, faced a leader's worst nightmare. Lyudmila instructed the others to seek help, but soon after she too exhibited severe symptoms. She collapsed, convulsing and struggling to breathe. As the group scrambled to assist her, another hiker, Tatiana, began gasping for air and acting erratically. She struck her head against a rock in apparent distress, worsening the already chaotic scene. Fear overtook the group. 2 members, Timur and Victoria, fled, but they too succumbed to mysterious symptoms, collapsing in agony. Denis and Valentina were the only 2 left. Denis tried to help but eventually exhibited similar signs of distress. He collapsed, leaving Valentina to fend for herself. Terrified, Valentina fled downhill, desperate to escape. For 4 days, she navigated the treacherous terrain alone, following power lines in hopes of finding help. Exhausted and traumatized, she finally encountered the kayakers who brought her to safety. Her ordeal was over, but the psychological impact remained. 2 weeks after the incident, search teams located the other hikers' bodies. Autopsies revealed that all but Lyudmila had died from hypothermia, while Lyudmila's cause of death was identified as a heart attack. However, the unexplained symptoms described by Valentina raised troubling questions. What could have caused such sudden and violent reactions? Investigators explored multiple theories, including toxic exposure or contaminated water, but no conclusive evidence emerged. The remote location, combined with the time that had passed, complicated efforts to determine the cause of the hikers' deaths. The Khamar Daban tragedy remains one of mountaineering's most chilling mysteries. Despite decades of speculation, the exact sequence of events and the cause of the hikers' deaths remain unresolved. Theories range from natural toxins to environmental hazards, but none have been proven. Valentina's survival is equally baffling. Why was she spared when all her companions perished? Could it have been sheer luck or something else entirely? This tragedy reminds us of nature's unpredictability, even for the most experienced adventurers. The Khamar Daban case continues to haunt and intrigue, its unanswered questions showing the enduring mysteries of the wild. It was October 29, 2024, in the remote Jokkmokk region of northern Sweden. Storm de Beul, a 22-year-old Belgian YouTuber and avid adventurer, found himself caught in one of the harshest snowstorms of the year. Known for his passion for exploring the wilderness, Storm's solo journey took a tragic turn in this unforgiving environment. Storm had spent much of the year traveling across northern Europe, sharing his adventures on his YouTube channel, Storm Outdoorsy. His videos showcased his love for hiking, camping, and paddle rafting. Followers admired his resilience and self-reliance, often seeing him as someone who thrived in isolation and embraced nature's challenges. While Storm was no stranger to the dangers of wilderness survival, this storm proved to be more than he could handle. On the night of October 29th, the snowstorm intensified rapidly. Temperatures dropped to -6 degrees Celsius, but with wind chills it felt closer to -18 degrees Celsius. Storm sent a video to a friend, showing his tent battered by the wind and snow filling his boots and gear. He even remarked that the situation was going to get worse. Despite his friend's warnings to stay safe, Storm appeared unfazed, confident in his ability to endure tough conditions. Later, Storm messaged his grandmother, informing her that it was snowing heavily, but that he would survive, so she didn't need to worry. As the storm worsened, Storm likely faced a critical situation. His mother, Elizabeth Rademacher, speculated that his tent may have been destroyed by falling trees or fierce winds, forcing him to seek safety elsewhere. At 2 a.m., he called emergency services, reporting that he was injured and needed help. He was trying to reach his car, which was 9 miles away, but the weather made rescue efforts nearly impossible. Even helicopters were grounded due to the severe conditions. By the morning of October 30th, rescue crews located Storm's lifeless body several hundred meters from his camp. His backpack contained only a few items, including a sleeping bag and a toothbrush. Signs suggested he had tried to survive, but the freezing temperatures and injuries had been too much. His feet were frostbitten, and his broken nose indicated a possible fall. These details haunted his family, particularly his mother, who couldn't stop imagining how he must have suffered for a long time and died alone. The thought of his last moments troubled her deeply. Storm's father, Beul, described his son as someone who found peace and happiness in the solitude of nature. While he had difficulty connecting with people, the wilderness became his refuge, a place where he could live on his terms. For Storm, being alone in the wild wasn't about isolation, but about freedom and self-discovery. Ironically, the very environment Storm cherished became the site of his final moments. The storm's ferocity, combined with his injuries, overwhelmed even his seasoned survival skills. Despite his best efforts, the elements proved too powerful. Rescuers were unable to retrieve many of Storm's belongings due to the harsh weather. However, his father vowed to return in the spring, hoping to recover Storm's camera, which may contain recordings of his last days. He considered the videos a priceless legacy, believing the camera held the final chapter of his son's story and that he needed to bring it back. What exactly happened during Storm's final hours remains a mystery. Did he leave his tent because it was destroyed, or was he trying to escape unbearable conditions? These unanswered questions weigh heavily on his grieving family. Storm's parents have expressed that they don't want him to be remembered as a hero, but as someone deeply connected to nature. His quiet, introspective nature found fulfillment in the wilderness, a world far removed from societal pressures. Many have compared his story to Christopher McCandless, the young adventurer immortalized in Into the Wild. Like McCandless, Storm sought solace in the wild and met his end far from the world that often misunderstood him. His YouTube channel now became a testament to his passion for the outdoors, a visual diary of his solo adventures. Storm's death tells us about the dangers of exploring remote and extreme environments, especially alone. While his skills and experience were undeniable, the combination of severe weather and injuries proved insurmountable. For his family, the loss is profound, but they find comfort in knowing Storm lived life on his terms. His story, though tragic, will not be forgotten. It was August 24, 2012, in Denali National Park, Alaska. Richard White, a 49-year-old scientist from San Diego, had been exploring the wilderness alone for several days. A seasoned hiker with over 3 decades of experience, Richard found comfort in nature, particularly in Alaska's rugged landscapes. Denali had always been one of his favorite destinations. Earlier that week, Richard secured a 5-day backcountry permit to hike near the Toklat River, an area renowned for its scenic beauty and wildlife, including bears. Having visited Denali before, he was familiar with its risks and had completed the park's mandatory safety training, which included guidelines for avoiding bear encounters. Yet on his third day, an encounter with a grizzly bear would take a tragic turn. On that Friday afternoon, Richard was hiking alone when he came across a large grizzly bear foraging for food. The bear appeared unaware of his presence. Richard, drawn to the moment, took out his camera to photograph the animal. He was about 40 yards away, much closer than the park's recommended quarter-mile or 400-yard safety distance. Ignoring this guideline, Richard spent over 7 minutes photographing the bear, capturing it in peaceful moments. At first, the bear didn't seem to notice him, but as the final photos revealed, its demeanor shifted. The animal stopped grazing, lifted its head, and fixed its gaze on Richard. Moments later, it began moving toward him. The last photos, taken in 13 seconds, captured the bear's increasing focus and the moments before it charged. What happened next remains uncertain. The evidence suggests that Richard had little time to react. Hours later, 3 hikers discovered signs of a struggle near Richard's abandoned backpack along the Toklat River, 3 miles from the nearest rest area. The area showed traces of blood and torn clothing. Realizing the severity of the situation, they alerted park rangers. Rangers quickly launched a search, deploying a helicopter to scan the area. They soon spotted a grizzly bear near what appeared to be a food cache. Upon closer inspection, they found Richard's remains partially covered in the underbrush. The bear was still guarding the site. Due to the danger, the rangers retreated and decided to return the next morning. At dawn, accompanied by state troopers, they found the bear still guarding the area. From the air, they took measures to ensure the safety of the search team and recovered Richard's remains. Examination of the bear confirmed it was responsible for the fatal attack. The bear, a mature male weighing approximately 600 pounds, was an unusual case. Park officials noted that such incidents were rare. This was the first fatal bear encounter in Denali's history, and the first in Alaska in 5 years. Typically, bears avoid humans, but this bear's behavior diverged from the norm. Richard White's death was a profound tragedy. He was a dedicated scientist, an avid adventurer, and a family man, leaving behind a wife and a young daughter. His story is a reminder of the risks inherent in exploring the wilderness. Despite his experience and safety training, he ventured too close to a wild animal, leading to a devastating outcome. Investigators reviewed the photographs Richard took, which provided a timeline of the encounter. The bear's initial calm gave way to aggression as it became aware of his presence. The images are a chilling record of the event, highlighting the unpredictability of wildlife interactions. Denali National Park, known for its breathtaking landscapes and diverse ecosystems, remains a place of both beauty and danger. Richard's story underscores the importance of respecting nature's boundaries, carrying proper safety equipment like bear spray, and adhering to guidelines designed to protect both visitors and wildlife. While questions linger about what could have been done differently, Richard's legacy lives on as a cautionary tale for adventurers. It was September 24, 2005, in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. Michelle Ray Vanek, a 35-year-old mother of 4, set out on a hike with her friend Eric Sawyer. They planned to climb Mount of the Holy Cross, one of Colorado's 14,000-foot peaks. Michelle was an experienced athlete, a marathon runner and triathlete, but this was her first high-altitude climb. Eric, a seasoned hiker who had tackled 38 of Colorado's peaks, helped her prepare for over a year, ensuring they had the proper gear. The pair met early that morning at Half Moon Campground, starting their hike around 6:30 a.m. They intended to follow the moderate North Ridge Trail, but they accidentally took the more dangerous Halo route. This path was longer and more challenging, requiring up to 2 days to complete. Despite realizing their mistake, they decided to press on. As the hike progressed, problems arose. By early afternoon, Michelle had run out of water, and Eric realized he had forgotten their food and his water purifier. Michelle, unaccustomed to high-altitude hiking, began to struggle. She often fell behind Eric, and he had to assist her repeatedly. By 1:15 p.m., they were about 400 yards from the summit, but Michelle was exhausted. She told Eric she couldn't continue and would either wait for him or head back to the East Cross Creek Trail. Eric, reluctant but eager to complete the climb, promised to return quickly. At 1:42 p.m., Eric reached the summit, exchanged brief words with other hikers, and made a quick call to his wife before heading back. When he returned to the boulder field where Michelle had stayed, she was gone. Eric called her name and searched the area but found no sign of her. Thinking she might have tried to descend alone, he retraced his steps and asked other hikers if they had seen her. No one had. He reported her missing shortly afterward. That evening, a large search effort began. Over the following days, more than 700 people, including rescue dogs and helicopters, scoured the area. Despite the intense effort, no trace of Michelle was found. The search, one of the largest in Colorado's history, left rescuers baffled. 2 days later, a duffel bag containing a weapon was discovered near the trailhead, and a suspicious man was seen in the area. A dog team also found what appeared to be blood in the snow. Investigators questioned a man found camping nearby, but his responses were vague, and these leads did not clarify Michelle's fate. Authorities eventually concluded that she likely had an accident due to the rugged terrain, dehydration, or altitude sickness, but her disappearance remained unresolved. Years passed with no new developments. Then, in October 2022, a hiker and his son discovered a boot in the boulder field where Michelle was last seen. The boots matched the ones Michelle had worn that day, reigniting interest in the case. How the boot had gone unnoticed for so long puzzled searchers, as the area had been thoroughly searched in 2005. In 2024, a breakthrough came. A female-led search team from Beul Mountain Rescue found more items believed to belong to Michelle: clothing, a backpack, and hiking poles. These were located in a dangerous, previously inaccessible area. The discoveries provided new hope and sparked a wave of questions about why these items hadn't been found earlier. The search team's leader, Scott Beebe, credited a dream for guiding their efforts. In the dream, he believed Michelle's spirit didn't want to be found by men. This inspired a team of women to methodically search the area where Michelle was last seen. Their fresh perspective led to significant finds, including a red shirt, a ski pole, and a backpack. While forensic confirmation is still pending, authorities are confident the items belong to Michelle. The discovery site remains confidential to preserve the integrity of ongoing search efforts and respect Michelle's memory. Nearly 2 decades after her disappearance, her family and the community have newfound hope for closure. What truly happened to Michelle that day remains a mystery. Was her disappearance due to the harsh environment, or could there have been other factors at play? As more discoveries come to light, the answers may finally emerge, shedding light on the final moments of a life tragically interrupted. It was a Friday in June 2024 in Alpine, Utah, when 19-year-old Cynthia Grimwood, a resident of Springville, went on a solo hike to Horsetail Falls. This trail, known for its steep and rugged terrain, is considered challenging. Cynthia, however, was no stranger to physical challenges. A former high school softball player, she loved outdoor activities and spent much of her time enjoying nature. Accompanied only by her dog, she planned a peaceful hike to experience the area's scenic beauty. Horsetail Falls, like many mountain trails, was affected by the seasonal snowmelt. On that particular day, the normally calm creek had become a powerful, fast-moving river due to unusually high water levels. Cynthia, perhaps unaware of the heightened risk, ventured close to the swollen creek, possibly to cool off. Tragically, the danger was greater than she could have anticipated. Her phone, which she used to record moments from her hike, would later reveal her final moments. Around 3 p.m., 2 hikers came across a concerning scene near the falls. They found a small dog, a phone, and other personal belongings scattered near the water. Cynthia was nowhere to be seen, and the dog appeared distressed, staying close to the water's edge. The hikers immediately contacted authorities, fearing that someone may have fallen into the river. Upon reviewing the phone, a video provided critical insight into what happened. It showed Cynthia near the water, possibly unaware of the risks when the powerful current suddenly swept her away. The footage ended shortly after, a chilling reminder of how quickly an outdoor adventure can turn tragic. Emergency services, including the Utah County Sheriff's Office, firefighters trained in water rescues, and a helicopter from the Utah Department of Public Safety, responded swiftly. The search for Cynthia was urgent but fraught with challenges. The steep terrain and fast-moving current made it dangerous for rescuers to access certain areas. Although Cynthia's dog was safely returned to her family, there was still no sign of her. Several hours after the search began, Cynthia's body was located downstream, trapped beneath trees in the river. The strong current and rugged surroundings made recovery efforts dangerous. With nightfall approaching, authorities decided to pause the recovery operation to ensure the safety of the rescuers. At dawn the following day, rescue teams resumed their efforts and successfully retrieved Cynthia's body. She was transported to the medical examiner's office, where an autopsy confirmed her death. Though the exact details of the incident were still under investigation, authorities believed the combination of high water levels and a swift current was the main cause of the tragedy. Cynthia's family, friends, and community mourned the loss of a young woman known for her active lifestyle and love of the outdoors. Authorities confirmed there was no foul play involved and described the incident as a tragic accident. They issued a warning to hikers to remain cautious near water, especially during times of increased snowmelt when water levels and currents are unpredictable. Cynthia's passing showed the dangers of outdoor adventures, even for experienced hikers. Rivers and waterfalls, while beautiful, can be deceptively dangerous. Cynthia's decision to hike alone, although common among outdoor enthusiasts, may have contributed to the tragedy, as there was no one nearby to assist or call for help when things went wrong. Tragically, Cynthia's death was not the only water-related incident in the area that week. A 12-year-old boy was swept into the Provo River near Bridal Veil Falls, not far from Horsetail Falls, the very next day. Though rescuers managed to pull him from the water, he succumbed to his injuries shortly after. These back-to-back tragedies underscored the need for vigilance when engaging with nature, especially during times of heightened risk. Cynthia's story raises questions about what might have prevented the tragedy. Could a hiking partner have made a difference? Would waiting for safer conditions have changed the outcome? In the end, Cynthia Ann Grimwood's story tells us about how quickly things can go wrong in the outdoors. Her vibrant life was cut short by a natural force that proved too powerful to overcome. As her family and friends continue to grieve, her legacy encourages others to approach nature with care and preparedness.